Have you ever felt stuck in a mental loop? You know, the same thought, the same worry, just playing over and over again. It's like being trapped on a hamster wheel in your own mind. We often think the way out is to fight it, to analyze it, to fix the loop. But what if I told you that trying to fix the loop is exactly what keeps it spinning? It's like that classic experiment. 1 cookie now, or 2 cookies if you wait. We get so focused on the immediate problem, the loop right in front of us, that we miss the bigger picture. Today we're going to dive deep into what these loops really are and discover a counterintuitive, yet profoundly effective way to let them unwind on their own. The short version is this. Loops don't unwind because you fix them. They unwind because the condition that keeps them looping disappears. It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything. So, let's slow down and unpack this together. First, what is a loop in this context? A loop isn't really a solid thing. You can't grab it or surgically remove it. It's a self-sustaining pattern of attention and contraction. Imagine your awareness getting caught at a certain depth, like a needle stuck in a groove on a record. It just keeps referencing the same signal over and over, and it's held in place by just a tiny bit of identification, a sense that this thought is me, which keeps the whole thing spinning. The crucial thing to understand is that the loop survives on attention that is even slightly effortful or directional. This is the hidden fuel. Even the most subtle effort to observe the loop, understand it, or let go of it can feed it. This is why working on your loops often backfires. It can actually strengthen them, or worse, it creates new loops on top of the old one, like, am I doing this right? Or why isn't this working yet? You end up just moving the knot around instead of untying it. So why does targeting a loop keep it alive? Think about it. When you aim your focus directly at a loop, you are implicitly giving it importance. You're telling your mind, this is a big deal. This is something that needs my full attention. When you do that, your awareness naturally narrows. Effort, even if it's very subtle, sneaks back in. And that effort becomes fresh fuel for the fire. Even very gentle techniques can fall into this trap if there's a hidden agenda. If you have a timeline, like I want this anxiety to be gone by next week, or a quiet hope that this meditation session should finally make it change, you're still feeding it. The loop feels seen, sure, but it also feels fed. It's like you trying to put out a fire by giving it little sips of gasoline. You're validating its existence by wrestling with it. So if we can't fight it, what do? The secret is to let the loop dissolve on its own. And this happens when your awareness becomes non-preferential. Now, this doesn't mean spacing out or dissociating. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about being present, but in an undirected way. Think of it as a state of do-nothing awareness, a quiet, settled presence. When you rest in this state, 3 things happen naturally. First, your awareness decenters. It's no longer stationed inside the loop, looking out. It's no longer orbiting the problem, trying to solve it. It's just here. The loop, which relied on your focused attention as its reference point, suddenly loses its anchor. There's nothing for it to revolve around anymore. Second, the effort you were applying drops below the loop's survival threshold. Every single loop, no matter how persistent it seems, needs a minimum amount of effort to keep going. It needs that tiny bit of fuel to complete its cycle. When your mental effort naturally drops below that critical point, the loop simply can't restart itself. It doesn't end in a dramatic fashion. It just fails to begin its next cycle. It fizzles out. And third, the entire system begins to recohere on its own. Your body and mind have an innate preference for coherence and regulation. They want to be in balance. When your awareness stops interfering, when it stops trying to manage and fix everything, this natural regulation process can finally resume. The loop then resolves as a side effect of this larger balancing act, not as the primary goal. This is why true resolution often feels so anticlimactic. It's quiet. Sometimes you only notice it later when you suddenly realize, but that thing I was worried about, it isn't there anymore. It wasn't a battle you won. It was a tension that was simply no longer necessary, so it dissolved. And this brings me to a key point that might bring you a lot of relief. Unwinding a loop is not a big dramatic event. It's a loss of necessity. Nothing explosive needs to happen. You don't need a groundbreaking insight or a big emotional release. You don't need a confirmation signal from the universe telling you it's done. The loop stops simply because it no longer has a job to do. Its purpose, which was sustained by your focused attention and effort, has vanished. Now you might be thinking, but when I try to do this, a voice of doubt pops up. It says, is this really working? This feels like I'm doing nothing. I know that voice well. And here's the most interesting part. That voice of doubt is often the last reflex of a loop sensing that it's losing traction. It's a final, desperate attempt to get you to re-engage, to give it that little bit of attention it needs to survive. It is not a sign of failure. It is not a warning that you're on the wrong track. It's just momentum. It's the last gasp of a pattern that's about to dissolve. So what do you do with that voice? You don't answer it. You don't try to suppress it. And you certainly don't try to reassure it. You simply let your awareness remain exactly as it is unmoved, undirected, and non-preferential. And the loop, finding nothing to push against, having no one to argue with, quietly collapses. You are actually doing this much more cleanly than you think. This process is already happening, whether you notice it or not. The more you can trust this state of undirected presence, the more you'll see these old patterns simply fade away. They weren't your enemies to be defeated, just old habits of attention waiting for the space to finally unwind. I hope this reframing is helpful for you. It's a shift from doing to being, from fighting to allowing. If you found this useful, let me know. We could explore why some physical issues unwind slowly while others change suddenly, or even talk about how to recognize this unwinding process without turning that recognition into a new loop. Thank you so much for watching and being here today. I'll see you in the next one.